Hello everyone, this is Precellence here, and today I'm going to be doing a recommended keybinds and settings video for all the new up-and-comers on Halo Reach on PC. So, for those of you just getting into the PC gaming and like settings, keybinds, this is going to be very helpful because I have a lot of experience with this and a lot of recommendations to like fit your preference. So, starting off with the field of view and the video settings. So field of view is gonna basically, we're gonna go to the lowest setting and you're gonna see what I'm talking about here, and it's gonna basically control obviously how much you can see. And right now I'm a lot more tunnel vision. It's gonna be a lot more helpful if you're focusing on gunfights, seeing further away. But we see a lot less on the sides here. Like when we go back to 120 and we compare it, we're obviously seeing a lot more on 120, and I highly recommend that you get used to the furthest setting that is comfortable for you, and it's going to give you the most FOV, because seeing more is always going to be an advantage and it's always going to improve your gameplay. Now going on to the other video settings, on vehicle field of view, I assume the highest is going to be the best. Gamma, haven't really touched. Window mode, you must have full screen. Do not do borderless, don't do windowed, it must be full screen, because this is going to give you more frames. This is also going to reduce your input lag. Resolution settings, keep it on your native monitor's resolution. VSync you want off because that's going to give you more input lag if you have it on. HUD anchoring you want centered, you don't want edge. Frame rate, now it's by default is going to be on 60 FPS, but you want to go to unlimited if your monitor has a higher frame rate than 60 FPS for obvious reasons. Graphics, I have it on enhanced, but I can't really tell a difference from original. Like we can check original, you might have to go into a different match or end the match or even quit the build. I can't really tell a difference between the two. Going on to that basically sums up the video settings. There's not too many. The audio settings haven't really messed around with. Gameplay, make sure your crosshairs on centered instead of classic, and that's basically it. Now going on to the controls here. These are all going to be preference, like I said. I've dealt with a lot of players here. I've seen a lot of people like use different settings, and this is all preference at the end of the day. But I'm going to give you a lot of options to use and what to think about, and like a general guideline, basically. So you're looking versions, keep those not inverted. Crouch behavior, you're going to want to hold on that. You're going to hold on zoom. Now on to mouse sensitivity. By default, you're going to be on 1, which is actually really, really low. Like compared to like most FPSs on PC, this is really extremely low. And your range from 1 to 2 is going to be using your arm more than your wrist, and anything above a 2 is going to be using your wrist more than your arm. And what I mean by this is using your arm means you're using a very slow sensitivity, and you're obviously like moving your mouse across your desk on a big mouse pad, and this is going to obviously give you a higher accuracy at long range. It's definitely going to give you more consistency, more control in your gunfights, but your close range fights might lack a little, and you're also going to have maybe a bit slower movement depending on how fast you can move your mouse across your desk. Now when you use your wrists, you're going to have probably a lower accuracy than what you would have on your arm, but it's all preference. I've seen plenty of people use a fast sense with their wrists and have insane accuracy. And I feel like you can have a faster movement kind of with a faster sensitivity. It's really easy to turn around, move, maneuver around. But it's also going to help your close range fights too. I think when you need to have your flick shots and shotgun shots, like you need to flick. So just keep that in mind if you want to use your arm or wrist. I use in between with like 1.6. That's what really has been feeling comfortable for me. But I also like can go up to like 1.8. It's just all preference. I'm still getting used to it. Now your zoomed mouse sensitivity has never been featured in Halo before, and it's always been set at a 1.0 default. And this means it's the same as your general sensitivity. When you aim it, it's the same sense. But now you can lower it, which means like you could have a really like basically fast sensitivity, but you could lower this and still have those long range engagements when you want to zoom in and like have a slower sense. And all your long range engagements could be really like, they could be a higher accuracy if you have a lower zoomed in mouse sensitivity. And I haven't played any BTB yet, so I don't know how I'd want to put that for BTB, but we'll see. I'm probably going to end up going to like a 0.09, 0.08, or even 0.07. Like those are common zoom mouse sensitivities I've seen on other games. Now your mouse to vehicle sensitivity, I haven't messed around with vehicles yet, but I assume you're going to want to crank that up a lot, because I have a feeling your vehicles are going to turn quicker, they're going to maneuver a lot quicker, and it's just going to be a huge advantage in vehicles. Mouse acceleration 100% off, that needs to be off, and your mouse smoothing needs to be off also. Those cannot be on. Now onto the keybinds themselves. Your movement, your left, right, forward, backwards, 95% of everyone's going to use WSAD. 95% of everyone's going to use spacebar for jump. Now on to crouch, this is where preference is going to become another thing, but you want to use your pinky or your thumb, it seems like, for the most part when you're using your crouch. So when you're using your pinky, left control is the huge key that a lot of people will use. It's the default in many games is left control. But a lot of people also will use C, V, or B and will hit it with their thumb. You can also hit C with your index, but then you can't strafe right and crouch at the same time. I highly recommend a setting where you can crouch at the same time while also strafing left or right. So I just recommend using your pinky or your thumb on a key that works with those. Fire is going to be left mouse click, your zoom is going to be right mouse click. Your magnifying is when you scope in with the sniper and it goes from like a 2 zoom to like a 10 zoom. And I just use Q. I haven't really even thought about like zooming in twice. It's not that common of occurrence, I feel like, so I haven't really decided on a key for that yet. Your melee is going to want to be a key that you can really hit when like you need to, like really quickly, and it's just natural, like obviously, and you're in a gunfight, you get someone weak, you got to get that beat down like on the fly, and something like that is so easy to hit. So like an F, a Q if you're using your keyboard, or any of the keybinds that you can hit with your thumb, so a C, V, or B. But I also would say a mouse key button is really good for this. Now, I haven't shown you guys the mouse key buttons yet, but mouse key buttons are like usually the 2 buttons on the side of your mouse if you have a gaming mouse. Your mouse could have more, like the G502 has like 5 buttons on the side. And mice in general have like the scroll wheel up, scroll wheel down, and you can also click it, and that counts as a button too. So just keep that in mind. Like I'll use those commonly in other games. Now back onto here, so my melee is on the second button on my mouse. It's the second button. Reload is R. A lot of people will use R. Like 90% of everyone will use R for the reload. Throwing a grenade, this needs to be easy to hit too. F is a good one. Q is a good one. Mouse buttons are a great one, but I'm keeping my mouse button for something else. Action is when you pick up weapons, when you enter vehicles, when you need to use just the action key to, like, let's say you need to open up a bridge or something. And you want to use E, something very accessible. E, that's usually your action key for all like games basically. Your changing weapon, by default, it's going to be 1, but you can use any number key really, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, anyone that's really natural, really easy to hit. Number keys, you really want to stick with number keys, but a lot of people use mouse scroll wheel buttons also for that. Now, same with switching your grenades. I use Z, but I'm thinking about going to 4. I think 4 will be easier than Z, but Z is also really easy for me to switch grenades if you need to hurry switch to a plasma grenade. Moving on to the armor ability. Armor abilities are your sprint, your jetpack, and what I obviously am, I'm using my mouse button. Now, why I use my mouse button is actually for more of the future, and what I mean by that is, by default on here, you're going to have it as your left shift, which is great. Left shift is awesome. I highly recommend left shift for your armor ability, but for me, let's say Halo Infinite has sprint and thrust at the same time. I'm going to want thrust easily on my mouse. Like in a gunfight, thrust on my mouse is 100% just a must. And if I'm sprinting also, like I want left shift as my sprint. So that's just for future. I'm thinking ahead. I'm just thinking if there is thrust backs, like, if there is, I'm going to have one on my mouse. But night vision I haven't ever used, so I can't really recommend any of that. I'd probably use like 5, honestly, for night vision. But yeah, there is no actually there's no toggle mute. There is no like toggle mute. There is no like I can't even think of the button, but there's a button like where you can speak in game, and there isn't even a button to speak in game, and I can't even change the open text key. Like it's kind of dumb. I wish I could change that. But I haven't touched vehicles, so I can't really recommend these. I might do a separate video on the vehicles. We'll see. It depends on the response I get, the recommendations on this. Like if you guys want me to do a vehicle one when BTB is a thing. But yeah, that basically sums it up. I hope you guys learned something. Remember, it's all preference at the end of the day. I've seen so many players in Fortnite, Apex, just any game that they all use really weird keybinds and they get away with it, and they do amazing. It's all preference. I mean, no one's alike. No one's gonna have the same setup. Don't just go, oh, yo, Precellence has these keybinds, I'm gonna do the same thing. Like it's all preference. I do some weird keybinds. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to give you guys recommendations. I'm gonna have a screen right now. You can just see them all in general. Like just look at all these right now and just try to like find the right combination of keybinds to use. And I really hope this will help you guys guide. Like, I hope it's a good guide for the future, and like it can help you guys like decide on what to use. But I hope you guys liked this video, enjoyed it, and I will make sure to release more Halo Reach on PC videos, more Halo 5. I'll keep up the grind, and I will see you guys on future videos.